There's so much of this like struggle when we're trying to have those conversations with our family members. So I love when, you're kind of saying, well, actually, we used to eat like this. Like eating well and eating organic and eating clean used to be a thing. And it doesn't mean that we have to adopt like these new types of trends or, anything like that. I have an uncle that is like, does not really want to get on the health wagon. And so every single time, and one of my aunts too, like it, and he's American, my uncle, he's from Ohio, like middle America, but she's Indian. And so in front of us, she'll pretend like she's, trying to make shifts and changes in her diet of like cutting out dairy and, things to make her arthritis feel better. And I feel like we all want the best for them. And for sometimes like a health advocate, like you and I feel like I'm just like shoving it down their throat. Like you have to be a certain way. And even like Ajit's parents who are from India, and I'm just kind of like, there's got to be a different way. So I love that you're tying it back into, well, actually, there are certain things that are like ritualistic, it almost sounds like, where it's like bringing
ancestral. And it's easy, it's a lot easier to adopt something once we learn about it and once we love it, right? It's a lot harder to move away from something that we absolutely love. And it's almost impossible to truly love something unless we actually get to know it. So it's all about, how do I bring this knowledge in a simple way and in a way that could be easily digested by those people that have a lot of conflict and a lot of hard time with change.
the resistant to change. Oh, okay. So what are some of the tips, or what advice do you have for people? And I know that you have so many different practices in the book, and I feel like it's such a foolproof, way of getting people back into reclaiming their health and wellness, because I feel like after the pandemic, everyone's kind of put on that like 20 pounds and gone back into like bad eating habits because it was just easy and convenient. And I know so many of my family members in India, because they couldn't travel for 2 years, the country was closed, it just opened up. And I know things are like that all around the world, even my family members in the Philippines. And so what are like the early stage tips that you can give for our listeners who are kind of like, all right, I want to help my family members and I'm starting to have the conversations, but what sorts of practices can I give them?
So the very first thing that I tell people is to use a practice I call the reduce and replace method. Something that I talk to every single one of my clients, especially people that are reluctant to change. And the concept is relatively simple. We know that it takes us 21 to 28 days to build a new habit. And we know that as humans, it is hard for us to have voids in our lives, right? We don't like spaces. We're going to fill that up with emotions, with food, with whatever it is, behaviors. So if instead of just simply asking you, well, you have to stop drinking soda, and I want you to just completely remove soda, it's going to leave both a physical and an emotional void that is going to be filled with something else. Chances are something not so great for you. But if instead you say, I'm just going to say I have 4 cups of soda every day, and I'm going to reduce those 4 cups by 1 cup, just this 1 week. I'm going to reduce 1 cup and I'm going to replace that with some herb infused water or something yummy that I know is going to be easy for me to incorporate and is going to just fill in that emotional void and the physical void as well. And you sit with that, see how your body reacts. How are you feeling just immediately after you consume that? What is the conversation happening in your mind, your body, and your soul? And perhaps after the end of that first week, you want to reduce it further. Instead of reducing it by 1 cup, you reduce it by 2 cups a week. And then you replace that with something else, perhaps a cup of fruit alongside your infused water. And when you do that, slowly but steadily, at the end of those 28 days, you've realized that you're no longer consuming soda, and now you're consuming foods that are just really dense in nourishment. And there you go. You've just built a new habit even without realizing it. It's
Ooh.
also a phenomenal way for people to remember that we are in constant movement. We are changing constantly. So change does not have to be painful, right? Just the fact that it goes from day to night, it means that we are used to the concept of change, and it can be incredibly beneficial to us. It does not have to be painful.
See you next time at the Brave Table.